Hey there! Welcome to the Eskimos channel. Okay, today we're diving into something super relatable: learning. We've all been there, right? But here's the thing. We often make things way harder on ourselves than they need to be. More specifically, we're dissecting the 10 mistakes you're making in learning. Whether you're trying to pick up a new hobby, master a skill, or just survive school, knowing what not to do can totally change the game. So buckle up, grab your iced coffee, and let's dive in. All right, first up, let's talk about the basics. You know, those fundamental, kind of boring things they throw at you in the beginning? Yeah, those are actually super important. They might seem tedious and uninteresting, but they form the backbone of everything you'll learn later on. It's like tempting to just breeze past them, but trust me, that's a recipe for disaster. When you skip the foundation, you end up feeling lost and confused, like you're trying to build a house on sand. Imagine trying to solve complex problems without understanding the basic principles. It's frustrating and often leads to mistakes that could have been easily avoided. When you skip the foundation, you end up feeling lost and confused, like you're trying to build a house on sand. And even worse, you start developing bad habits that are hard to break later on. These bad habits can include things like skimming through material too quickly, not taking proper notes, or failing to review what you've learned. Over time, these habits can seriously hinder your progress. The real key here is to focus on mastering those basics first. Spend time understanding the core concepts, practice them regularly, and don't rush through them. Get really comfortable with them before you move on. Use tools like flashcards, practice problems, and study groups to reinforce your understanding. Think of it like building a solid foundation for a skyscraper. You need that strong base to support everything else. Without it, the entire structure is at risk of collapsing. So next time you're tempted to skip the boring stuff, remember that it's actually the most crucial part of your learning journey. Embrace it, master it, and you'll be setting yourself up for success in the long run. Trust the process, and you'll find that the more advanced topics become much easier to tackle. The basics are your best friends in the world of learning. Okay, have you ever tried to stuff a whole pizza in your mouth at once? Yeah, not a good look, right? Same goes for your brain. Trying to cram in tons of information all at once is a recipe for a mental meltdown. It's like overloading your computer. Eventually, it's gonna crash. And that's what burnout feels like. So what's the solution? Pace yourself. Break down your learning into smaller, more manageable chunks. Give yourself time to process and absorb the information. Remember, slow and steady wins the race, especially when it comes to learning. Okay, imagine reading a cookbook cover to cover. You spend hours flipping through the pages, absorbing all the delicious recipes and techniques, but never actually making a single recipe. Sounds kind of pointless, right? All that knowledge just sitting there, unused. Well, the same goes for any kind of learning. Whether it's a new skill, a language, or a hobby, just reading about it isn't enough. You can read all the books and watch all the tutorials in the world, but if you don't actually apply what you're learning, it's not going to stick. It's like having a treasure map, but never going on the adventure. Application is where the magic happens. When you take what you've learned and put it into practice, that's when real understanding begins. Think of it as turning theory into reality. It's like taking that recipe and actually baking the cake. You get to see, feel, and taste the results of your efforts. So, whatever you're trying to learn, find ways to put it into practice. Don't just be a passive learner, be an active doer. If you're learning a new language, try having a conversation with a native speaker. It might be challenging at first, but it's the best way to improve. If you're learning to code, build a simple website. Start with small projects and gradually take on more complex ones. The hands-on experience is invaluable. The more you use what you're learning, the better you'll understand and remember it. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. So don't just be a bookworm, be a doer. Take that knowledge and turn it into action. You'll be amazed at how much more you can achieve. Remember, learning is a journey, not a destination. Keep pushing yourself, keep practicing, and keep growing. The world is full of opportunities waiting for you to seize them. Chapter 4. Set goals that don't make you want to cry. Okay, let's be real. Learning without goals is like driving with your eyes closed. You might get somewhere, but it's probably not going to be pretty. Imagine trying to navigate through life without a clear destination in mind. It's chaotic, confusing, and often leads to frustration. Goals are your roadmap, your guiding light that helps you see where you're headed. Goals give you direction and motivation. They act as a compass, pointing you towards your desired destination. When you have clear goals, you wake up each day with a sense of purpose and a clear plan of action. It's like having a personal cheerleader, constantly reminding you of what you're working towards. They help you track your progress and stay on track. By setting specific, measurable goals, you can easily see how far you've come and what steps you need to take next. This not only keeps you focused, but also boosts your confidence as you see tangible evidence of your progress. But here's the thing, your goals need to be realistic and achievable, especially in the beginning. It's important to set yourself up for success by starting with small, manageable goals. This way, you build momentum and confidence as you achieve each one. Don't set yourself up for failure by aiming for something crazy difficult right out of the gate. Unrealistic goals can lead to disappointment and burnout. Instead, break down your big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. This makes the journey less daunting and more enjoyable. Start small, celebrate your wins, and gradually increase the challenge as you progress. Each small victory is a stepping stone towards your larger goal. Take the time to acknowledge and celebrate these achievements, no matter how minor they may seem. This positive reinforcement keeps you motivated and eager to tackle the next challenge. It's like leveling up in a video game. You gotta master one level before you can move on to the next. Each level presents new challenges and opportunities for growth. By mastering each level, you build the skills and confidence needed to tackle more difficult tasks. So, set your goals wisely, take it one step at a time, and enjoy the journey of personal growth and achievement. Chapter 5. Slow Your Roll, Speed Racer. We live in a world of instant gratification, but learning is one of those things that takes time. You can't rush the process. Trying to learn something too quickly is like trying to speed read a novel. You might get the gist of it, but you're gonna miss all the nuances and details that make it interesting. So, slow down, take your time, and really focus on understanding the concepts. Don't be afraid to go back and review things you've already learned. Remember, it's not about how fast you can get through the material, it's about how well you understand it. Chapter 6. Shortcuts are for cheaters. Sometimes. Okay, I love a good shortcut as much as the next person, but when it comes to learning, they can be a slippery slope. Sure, they might seem like a quick and easy way to get ahead, but they often lead to superficial understanding. It's like using Google Translate to write an essay in another language. It might technically work, but it's not going to be pretty. So instead of relying on shortcuts, put in the effort to learn things the right way. It might take a little longer, but the knowledge you gain will be much more valuable in the long run. Chapter 7. Don't quit when things get tough. Okay, remember that honeymoon phase we talked about earlier? Yeah, that doesn't last forever. At some point, you're going to hit a wall. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to want to give up. But this is the most important time to push through. It's like running a marathon. The last few miles are always the hardest, but the feeling of crossing that finish line makes it all worth it. So, next time you're feeling discouraged, remember why you started learning in the first place. Think about the goals you set for yourself, and most importantly, don't give up on yourself. Chapter 8. Embrace the suck. It builds character. Let's be real, nobody's perfect, especially when they're first starting out. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna feel stupid sometimes, and that's okay. It's all part of the learning process. Don't be so hard on yourself. Instead of getting down on yourself for your mistakes, view them as opportunities for growth. Embrace the suck, learn from your errors, and move on. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Chapter 9. Okay, this one's important. Perfection is a myth. It simply doesn't exist. So stop chasing it. Striving for perfection will only lead to frustration and disappointment. Instead, focus on making progress. Celebrate your small wins, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. And the journey is way more fun if you're not constantly stressing about being perfect. Chapter 10. Have you ever found yourself saying, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I need to wait for the perfect time"? Yeah, me too. But here's the thing, there's no such thing as the perfect time. The best time to start is always now. So stop making excuses and just go for it. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. Remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So take the shot, even if you're scared. You might surprise yourself. Chapter 11. Last but not least, let's talk about motivation. Staying motivated is crucial when it comes to learning, especially when things get tough. And the best way to stay motivated is to have a strong why. Why are you learning this? What are you hoping to achieve? Once you have a clear understanding of your why, write it down somewhere you'll see it every day. It'll serve as a reminder of why you started in the first place and help you stay on track when you're feeling lost or discouraged. Remember, learning should be enjoyable, not a chore. And that's a wrap. We just unpacked a ton of stuff about learning, but the main takeaway is this. It's not about being perfect, it's about understanding those little mistakes we all make and figuring out how to overcome them. Keep these tips in mind, and I swear, your learning journey will be so much more rewarding and way less stressful. Thanks for tuning in. See you in our next video.